Hi guys, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Chantal Casal, and today I'm going to be talking about how to prepare for a successful marriage. So this is going to be part 2 to a video that I did last week. So if you really enjoyed that video, you're going to love this video. And if you haven't seen that video yet, why don't you pause this video where it's at, go ahead and go back to that video, and then come back to this video so that you can be kind of up to date on what's going on. One of the things that I mentioned last week in my video is that the tips that I'm giving you are things that I've done personally to prepare for marriage. So I'm just sharing what I did, and I'm hoping that it could help one of you guys, maybe all of you guys, to have a successful marriage. Please don't come for me in the comments. No, but it's just my personal experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get started. The first tip that I have for you guys is going to be to have the money conversation. The money conversation is one of the most important conversations you can have, one of the most. Just because it tells your partner and yourself so much about how you value money, how you see money, how you act with money, and all those important things. That way you guys can work together and being successful in the future when it comes to money. So for me, one of the first conversations that I had with my husband is debt. When we first met, I had student loan debt, I had credit card debt, and I didn't have a great credit score. I think it was like 600 or something like that. It was 645, I remember. And my husband had like an 800 credit score. He was doing a thing. And he didn't have any debt. So when he found out I had debt, he really wanted to get to the bottom of why I had the debt, what got me to the debt. So for the student loan, okay, like I went to school, but I didn't have a degree. So he wanted to know like more about that. He wanted to know, what did I spend all that money on my credit card for, which to be honest, I didn't remember. I didn't know. So in doing that, he was really trying to figure out what was my money mindset, what was my money story, what do I think about money, how do I value money. And once we got down to the bottom of it, I was able to see my story, see how I value money, and change my money mindset from there. Now today I had paid off all of my student loan debt. I have no credit card debt. And I have one more class until I get my degree. So, you know, we've come a long way, but we did do it together. When talking about finances, we need to talk about debt, we need to talk about money mindset, and then the last thing that is really important is how to divvy up the money. How are we going to move forward with our money? Are we going to put all the money into one bank? Are we going to just keep our own separate bank accounts, keep the money separate, or are we going to do a little bit of both? Now, any of the three that you choose, like, no one is better than the other. Do what works best for you, your relationship, your marriage. For us, we did a little bit of both. So we have a savings account for emergencies, and we have a savings account for trips and stuff like that. And then we have a joint credit card. And everything else is pretty much separate. Now, even though everything else is separate, we still do have conversations about money and what each other is spending if we exceed a certain limit. In the beginning of our relationship, we were kind of getting into it because my husband would spend money on something and then tell me about it during casual conversation, and that would really it would get on my nerves. So we kind of had to set a limit for each other. So we set a limit for ourselves. So if I went over this limit or met the limit with a purchase, that was a conversation I had to have with him, and vice versa. So if he went over the limit with the purchase or met that limit with the purchase, he would have to have the conversation with me first and say, hey baby, I'm thinking about buying this thing, it's this much money, and you know, what are your thoughts about it? Right? And it's not that I control what he does, it's just out of respect. And because we're trying to build family, we're trying to build our money, we're trying to build a life together. So it's important that we talk about these things. It doesn't matter which method that you guys use on how y'all want to split up your money, or if y'all even want to split up your money. The important part is to just have those conversations when you're going to spend over a certain amount of money, which whatever limit you guys put on it. It's just important to have those conversations. Your wife shouldn't be doing something without you knowing. Your husband shouldn't be doing something without you knowing. You guys should know what each other is doing. It should be complete transparency across the board with that. Now, that is it for tip number 1. Tip number 2 is the legacy conversation. You know, if you guys don't already have life insurance, make sure you guys get life insurance. Make sure you add your spouse to your life insurance. If you already had life insurance or you was previously married, make sure you update the necessary things to add your current spouse. Same thing with your will. If you have a will, make sure you update it with your current spouse's information. And if you don't have a will, go and get a will. It's very important. The last thing I want to mention is, because I just found out about this, is that banks are allowing people to have beneficiaries for their bank accounts. So Lord forbid something happens to you, that money will have a place to go. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is about creating healthy habits into your relationship. So in particular, I'm talking about date night. We love date night in our house. I love to date my husband. My husband loves to date me. It's something that we did before we got married, and it's something that we want to continue to do in marriage. I know that, you know, some people have kids. We have kids. And when we moved out to Florida for the first time, we didn't know anybody and we didn't have like a sitter or anything like that, but we still was creative with date night. We just waited for my daughter to go to sleep, and then we had an indoors date night. I had a projector up. I had like a picnic. It was so cool. We had fruits and cheese and wine, and it was just really, really nice. So there's all sorts of ways to create a date night, and it's just intimate time. It doesn't really have to be out at a restaurant. That would be nice, but it doesn't have to be that. All you guys really need is intimate time together with just you two. No stress, no distractions, just time. So that is tip number 3. Tip number 4 would be to hash out or hammer out any cultural differences that you guys have. So we kind of had a lot of cultural differences. I'm from New York, born and raised, Bronx, New York. My husband was born and raised in Ecuador. And he didn't come over to this country until he was 18. So he did all of his schooling there. And he didn't really know too much about Black history in America. I mean, which I don't know about history in Ecuador. So, you know, I kind of had to give him grace for that and just help him along, teach him, you know, our history or my history as it relates to being Black in America. And then also too, we talked a lot about traditions. He has his separate traditions. I didn't really grow up with a lot of traditions, but I like the idea of traditions. So we worked on creating traditions for our home and our household and our family together, which is really fun for me, especially around the holidays and stuff. And these are things that just we take from each other's backgrounds. So I took some of the things from my background, he took some of the things from his background, and then we created our own. And the last tip that I have is about parenting, which kind of plays into cultural background, because at the end of the day, we come from 2 different places and we're raising a kid that is ours. So we want to give her, of course, a little bit of me and a little bit of him, educate her on my background and on his background. And so that is really important. And then also to parenting skills. So because we're raised differently, some of the things actually are really similar, but a lot of the stuff was different. So, you know, when it comes to discipline, we think 2 different ways. And we had to kind of really hash out what was the main point of discipline, right? Is to teach a lesson. So I am very creative when it comes to teaching my kid a lesson, and so I gave him some of my ideas, he gave me his ideas, and together we created basically our own parenting plan. Now, of course, the foundation of our parenting is going to lie on our morals and our values, and then we build up from there. And of course, kids grow, so our parenting skills will have to evolve as that happens too. So this is a conversation that you guys will have to have pretty much every so often in the relationship. Once you realize that maybe what we're doing right now isn't really working, you know, the kid is 10 and these, you know, whatever these skills are not working. So how are we going to kind of shift along with the kid? And that's what we've been doing. And actually, we're about to have our first shift. My daughter is turning 6 and she is something else. No, but we are about to shift. And so these are some things that you guys should think about when it comes to having a healthy, strong marriage and relationship. And I hope these tips are really helpful for you guys. Comment down below and let me know which tips really resonated with you guys. Please like, share this video, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.